Have you ever heard the term breakthrough? I hear that term a lot. Being a Christian, being a man of God, being around other believers, this is a very common term that we're in need of a breakthrough, and God knows that there are many, many instances in our lives where we just need a move of God. We need God to step in and do miraculous things. When we run out of we get to our wits' end, we run out of our own ability, our own abilities, our own ideas, where there's nothing left. That there's situations in our lives where it simply is going to take God to intervene, His divine intervention, to give us these breakthroughs that we absolutely need. And good luck finding anybody in this world that doesn't need a breakthrough. If they don't need it now, if they didn't need one in the past, they will need one in the future. Believe me, as long as we're in these bodies, we are fallible. As long as we're in these bodies, we're not immortal. We have limitations. And as human beings, we can only do so much. And I praise and I thank God because He's come through for me in many, many situations throughout my lifestyle. And I'm sure this is the case for many of you listening. And someone asked me before about these videos. And as you can see, it's me and a camera. There are no bells, no whistles. It's simple. And I like it that way because I want you to be able to lock in to what I'm saying. And you can actually, if you don't like looking at my pretty face, you can just move the laptop over or something, turn it around, and just hear the audio, listen to the audio. But really, the reality is that we're limited. As I'm showing you now, I have limitations when it comes to my technical prowess is very, very limited. However, I have a message. I have something to say, things that I think are important, and things that I hope you can benefit from. And so, at the end of the day, it's not about how technically sound I am, but it's how impactful are the sound of my words. And so, at any rate, when you start talking about breakthroughs and you start talking about need help, one of the things that we have to understand that before we can truly experience a breakthrough, we have to be broken. And what I mean by broken, I'm saying you have to be broken from all of your own ways. Doing things the way you want things to be done. See, like we can't do what we want and then expect God to acquiesce or adjust to our actions. See, it doesn't work like that. We're not the creator, He's the creator. So we can't just will God into accepting our actions as His will somehow. See, what we have to do is learn how to understand what God's will is for our lives, and then we submit, we acquiesce, we adjust, we follow, we subjugate ourselves to His directionality because His way is the right way. And we have to learn how to eradicate the throne, right? Abdicate our titles and positions and submit ourselves and humble ourselves to the will of God in order to truly be successful. And sometimes in life, it's impossible to get to a place of humility until we're humbled, until some events happen in our lives to put us in a position where we have to cry out to God and say, hey, God, I need you. And it's very difficult to seek God's face and seek His help and recognize our need for Him when things are going great all the time. That's just the way it goes. Human nature. When things are going well all the time, just think about your own relationships with people, your loved ones, people in your life. That when everything's going great and we're busy and we're going, often we have very little time for each other. So maybe they don't get that phone call or that text or that outreach, whatever the case may be, because we're too busy flowing and working and having a good time. But there's something to be said about being knocked off our feet. And when you get knocked down and all of a sudden you have more time for these people that before you didn't have time for them. Would you agree? Would you agree that if you are a person that prays, you pray a lot more when you have challenges, right? That's how it works. Even in marriages, a lot of times couples don't communicate. They rarely have meaningful conversations. substantive conversations unless they're going through a crisis. But when things are going great, Johnny goes his way, Sally goes her way, whatever the case may be, everyone goes their way. And then, when something happens, now we come together. There's nothing like adversity to bring people together. That's just a reality. Now, believe me, I'm not saying that our lives are supposed to be filled with calamity and difficult days. What I am saying is that we need challenges in our lives oftentimes to wake us up and to get our attention. Would you agree? So as a believer, as a Christian, I understand, and the Bible is very, very clear as to how important it is that we deal with adversity, that we have challenges, because challenges, they stretch us and they make us stronger, and it builds our faith. And see, faith doesn't just happen, but faith requires a stretching, some type of stretching to take place for us to be put in a situation of bind, our backs against the wall sometimes, where we have to trust God. And then, as important as trusting Him is seeing the manifestation, seeing God give us the breakthrough that we're looking for. And so what I'm going to do in the second part of this message is we're going to look at Gideon, which is a great example. In Gideon, for those you don't know, he was a man that God called to do something miraculous with very few people. He was successful nonetheless. He was humble. He didn't have any of this pedigree, or he was a kind of a wimpy looking guy, but God used him to do some incredible things. But at any rate, we have to get to a point where we recognize that we need God, and that in order to really get a breakthrough, now we may catch a break, we may catch a break here and there. Sometimes there's very little prayer, very little concentration, things just kind of happen. But I don't know about you, but I don't want to live a life where I'm just catching breaks. See, because that's too temporary, that's too shallow. I need a breakthrough. That means I need a real change. I need something that's sustainable over time, something that's powerful, something that I can hold on to for a long time, not just this momentary, little bitty, shallow wins, but I want triumphant victories. And those types of victories do not come, they must be preceded by brokenness. You have to be broken first. And once you get to that point, there's a certain level of appreciation, there's a certain level of accomplishment, there's a certain level of commitment to sustaining that you can't get just by everything being easy all the time. And so when we get into the second part of this conversation about being broken, I'm going to really emphasize, or in breakthroughs, I'm going to emphasize the importance of risk, taking risk, and faith, and how those two need each other. So they're interdependent. So your faith will never grow without taking risk. You won't take risk if you don't have enough faith to do so. So look forward to seeing you, or maybe I can't see you, maybe look forward to seeing me as we get to part 2.